Learn English with History, the Miracle of Dunkirk. Welcome to Learn English with History. In today's episode, we'll explore one of the most traumatic rescues in history, the Miracle of Dunkirk. This incredible event took place during World War II, when hundreds of thousands of British and French soldiers were trapped on a beach in France, facing certain defeat. But thanks to an extraordinary rescue mission, they escaped, turning disaster into a miracle. As we go through the story, I'll explain important words and phrases to help you learn English while discovering history. Let's begin. In May 1940, during the early days of World War II, the German army launched a massive attack on France using a military strategy called Blitzkrieg, which means lightning war in German. This strategy was designed to strike quickly and powerfully, using fast-moving tanks and aircraft to overwhelm the enemy before they could react. The British Expeditionary Force, BEF, which was a group of British soldiers sent to fight alongside the French, tried to resist, but the German advance was too strong. Soon, the British and French forces were pushed back to the northern coast of France, to a small town called Dunkirk. They were in a desperate situation, trapped with their backs to the sea. This means that they had no way to escape because the German forces were closing in, surrounding them from the land. The only way out was across the English Channel, the body of water separating France from Britain. Meanwhile, the Luftwaffe, the powerful German Air Force, was bombing them relentlessly, destroying ships, vehicles, and supplies. It seemed like there was no hope. At this moment, the British government, led by Prime Minister Winston Churchill, realized that if they didn't act quickly, they would lose their entire army, which would make it almost impossible for Britain to continue fighting in the war. Churchill ordered a desperate rescue plan called Operation Dynamo, a mission to evacuate as many soldiers as possible. The Little Ships of Dunkirk. The British Royal Navy, which is the military force that fights at sea, sent large warships to rescue the soldiers. However, there was a big problem. The waters near Dunkirk were too shallow for many of these large ships to reach the shore. This meant that thousands of men were stuck on the beaches with no way to board the ships. To solve this problem, the British government called upon ordinary civilians, meaning regular people who were not soldiers. They asked anyone with a boat, fishermen, merchants, lifeboat crews, and even private yacht owners to help. These people responded with incredible bravery, and soon, hundreds of small boats began making the dangerous journey across the English Channel. These boats became known as the Little Ships of Dunkirk. The rescue was extremely dangerous. The German Air Force continued bombing the area, and the sea was full of wreckage from destroyed ships. Many of these small boats had no weapons or protection, but they bravely ferried soldiers back and forth, taking them from the beaches to the larger warships waiting farther out at sea. Some of the boats even sailed all the way back to Britain, carrying as many men as they could. The miracle and a critical mistake. At the beginning of the operation, Churchill and his commanders hoped that they might be able to save 30,000 men. But as the days went on, more and more soldiers were rescued. Over the course of 9 days, May 26, June 4, 1940, more than 338,000 British and French troops were evacuated. This was far beyond anyone's expectations, and that is why it became known as the Miracle of Dunkirk. One of the reasons this evacuation was possible was because of a mysterious decision made by Adolf Hitler. At a critical moment, Hitler halted his tanks, meaning he ordered his troops to stop advancing toward Dunkirk for 2 days. Historians still debate why he did this. Some believe he wanted to let his air force finish the attack, while others think he underestimated how quickly the British could escape. Whatever the reason, this mistake gave the British and French soldiers just enough time to get away. A turning point in the war. Even though thousands of soldiers were left behind, the rescue at Dunkirk was seen as a great success. It was not a victory in battle, but it became a turning point in World War II, a moment that changed the course of history. If the British Army had been destroyed, Britain might have been forced to surrender. Instead, the soldiers who were rescued at Dunkirk would later fight again in the war, eventually helping to defeat Nazi Germany. When the soldiers returned to Britain, Winston Churchill gave one of his most famous speeches to inspire the nation. He declared, "We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." His words gave the British people hope and determination to continue the fight. Why Dunkirk matters. The story of Dunkirk teaches us that even in the darkest moments, courage and unity can lead to survival and victory. The bravery of ordinary people who risked their lives to save their fellow countrymen shows that heroes are not always soldiers sometimes. They are fishermen, teachers, and everyday citizens who refuse to give up. And that is the story of the Miracle of Dunkirk, one of the most incredible rescues in history. Thank you for joining Learn English with History. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more episodes where we learn English through amazing moments from the past. See you next time.